music success just comes from being able to live my life based off of doing what I love. Anytime, and a lot of times people look at, you know, the most grand examples of music success, you know what I mean, as the only form of success, and it's definitely great. But anytime you can anytime you can live off of what you do, you know what I mean, and you have fans that support you or people that support you, then in my mind, you're already successful to a certain degree because there's so many people that are trying to get in the game, so many people that are trying to do it. So to have, um, you know, that level of support, so that's all you can rely on, then you're successful.
And we are live. Hi, everyone. My name is Roy. I'm your show host. Welcome to the Music Success Show. I'm excited to bring you today's guest. He's a rapper, songwriter, and producer with years of experience in the music business. He was born in Buffalo and grew up moving around New York. He has an everyday lifestyle brand called Antiracist Society. He owns his own record label, Super Rich, and he has released an EP, Young God Rising, available on all streaming platforms. He is also currently working on his album with 4 collaborations, which will be released this year. Welcome to the show, Jerrel XL. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, Willie. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. So tell me about yourself. What we have a lot of things going on. You were raised in New York. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey and what made you to be in the music industry?
Yeah, born and raised in New York. Moved around the state, moved around the city itself as well, and outside of the city. So I pretty much lived everywhere in uh, New York City, Westchester, even went to college in Long Island for a year. So I kind of cover all my bases around New York. Um, yeah, I'm a true blue New Yorker.
Awesome. And like, what did you hear when you were like growing up? What?
Growing up, I was, it was hip hop. You know what I mean? It was a lot of hip hop. New York's the birthplace of hip hop. You know what I mean? It's the home of the culture. So, just everybody from Big to Nas to Wu Tang to Mobb Deep kind of grew up listening to, all of that was like there at the time. LL Cool J, um, uh, 50 Cent, Dipset, those were all of the waves that were, Bad Boy, can't forget Bad Boy. That was like a big thing in New York at that time period as well. And Diddy. So yeah, that's what kind of really influenced, my musical journey is just that New York hip hop scene.
Okay, awesome. And did you have somebody like kind of introduce you to that, or did you just went along and found out by listening to music and going to the clubs, or how did that happen?
I mean, it was just, I feel like in New York, music just oozes out of the streets because people are riding around, you know what I mean? And systems is bumping. People are playing, music on the block, playing music on the street. Um, Music is everywhere in New York. And then you have video music box was a big thing there when I was coming up as well. So I just kind of, it was the sound of the city. Hip hop was the sound of the city at that time period. So you couldn't go anywhere and not hear it and not be exposed to it. And I just took I come from a family that has a musical background. And so for me, it just became natural for me to just want to do music. And I love rapping even at a very young age. So
awesome. And did you like when you recorded your EP? Did you have some kind of a mentor, or was somebody from your family, or you just like did it all by yourself? How did that work out?
Well, so I've been recording for years. So the EP that's currently on streaming services, Young God Rising, I put that out originally a few years ago. Before that, I've been doing music all my life recording. I did have a mentor when I was in 7th, 8th grade that took me to studios and first started getting me recording, just getting me comfortable in the studio because they knew that's what I wanted to do at that time. So yeah, since I've been a child, I've actually had that. But when I did the EP, by that point, I had been producing for years, making tracks for years. When I was growing up, I learned how to play. I took a lot of lessons for piano. I dabbled in guitar as well. So so by the time I started making beats, making tracks, I already had that kind of musical background. and just yeah, I did it myself.
Did you when you're like taking lessons? Did you it was like kind of like classical stuff, or did you have the opportunity to? It was what kind of like education was that?
So the person who I was learning from when I was growing up, he had a jazz background.
Oh,
He
cool.
played at a lot of jazz clubs in New York. He was actually a part of um, there's a production team that used to be in New York called Eddie F. and the Untouchables, which is a member of Heavy D's team, and he was a part of that group. And so he produced some songs that became number one hits as well. And that was the person that kind of taught me how to play the piano. So that was a part of my journey. I'm learning, so not necessarily classical, but you know, just gospel, R&B, jazz type of leanings.
Awesome. Now you're working on a. I know you're working on a single and on a music video. What's your experience so far, and how did you manage to um, to get the means to do that? Because not everybody, you know. I mean, I guess if you have an iPhone, you can record a video, but how did you manage to go about that?
Just a lot of hard work, man. A lot of hustle. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of hustle. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, it's a lot of hustle. I have a video that's out called Dangerous, and a single that's out now called Dangerous. So we're working that single right now and getting a lot of good feedback on the video as well. So, but yeah, it took us a lot of hustle to put the pieces together and make it all happen.
Well,
So
do you
we're
have
happy with that.
do you have people you work usually, or some kind of team, or do you have people who help you out? How do you go about these things?
I have a manager. Then I just have just a team of people that are around that give good feedback, give help brainstorm ideas. So have definitely have people in my corner. You know what I mean? That's contributing to it all. It's not a one man show in that sense. It's like a collective effort to
Okay.
make it happen.
And this new single is what is it? What's the theme, or what's behind this new single?
It's called Dangerous. The concept is basically, you know, on the surface, you hear dangerous, you think what the word says, and so you think violence, a certain type of violence. But I think that there's a lot of different things that make you dangerous besides a certain type of violence. And in the song, I kind of highlight, just my mind being a weapon. I highlight wealth being a weapon. You know what I mean? I also highlight weapons themselves. And so there's a lot of different things that make a person dangerous um, to different people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When we were, as I
Yes.
was gonna say, as a black man, just being born, I was dangerous to certain people.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Just by my existence. So um, danger comes in a variety of ways.
Yeah. So basically, from my understand, talking to you, and correct me if I'm wrong. You were born in the middle of this culture, and you yourself created this brand called Antiracist Society. Now,
Yeah.
for people who are creating it or trying to create their own brand and merchandising and so forth, like how did you? Obviously, that came from your own experience, right? And roots. And how did you go about like creating a brand?
Well, I feel like I've always wanted to dabble in fashion and do something fashion based. And I think that a few years ago, just really, you know, particularly with the uprising with George Floyd, when everything happened like that, I thought it was very important it just kind of came to me like, that's what I want my brand, my lifestyle brand to represent is, I want it to be cool to be anti-racist. I want it to be, we live in a racist society. So I feel like it would be a nice double entendre to name the brand Anti-Racist Society. Because we're anti-racist society, but we're also anti-racist, forming our own new society. So that's kind of the meaning behind that brand. Um, and I just kind of put the pieces together. Just went through the designs. Was able to work with a few different companies that were able to help facilitate things, and just got it all set up. And it's been a go since then.
Okay, cool. And like, if somebody wants to actually purchase, right, or
Mhm.
take a look at your brand, where they can find it.
They can go to the website, antiracistsociety.com. They can also follow us and buy directly off of Instagram, Antiracist Society.
Very, very cool. Okay, so now besides that, you have your own record label. You pretty much produce your own stuff in spite of the fact that you're also doing collaborations. You released the EP Young God Rising, like we talked about, but now you're working on a new album that is going to be released this year.
Yes.
What made you write this album? What experiences are part of this album? And I know there's at least 4 collaborations. And who are the people that you're bringing on to be part of this project?
So what made me write this album is that this is time. I like creating. I love creating. You know what I mean? So when whatever I'm kind of going through at the time period, whether it's overcoming adversity or overcoming obstacles, that's a really big theme in my music, is just being able to overcome, and also being able to motivate other people to be able to overcome obstacles and overcome any adversity. So going through those emotions, going through those feelings, I was able to just put that on paper, just put that, not even on paper, but just be able to record that and just kind of go from there. So that's what caused me to write it. The people that I'm collaborating with are different artists that will possibly be a part of Super Rich, the label. So it's kind of going to be an in-house and family affair type of thing. And so either on a label or very closely affiliated with the label. So there's about 4 different artists that are going to be partaking in that.
Okay, cool. What do you feel is the importance of collaborating? Why is it important for you to do collaborations?
Also, I like collaborating because I like just the chemistry that happens with different artists on a track. I like having different artists on my tracks, you know what I mean, as well. And also I like being able to use whatever my platform and what I put out to break new artists out. You know what I mean? It's just expose new artists to a wider audience, to whatever my audience is, and as my audience develops as well. So definitely love collabs for that reason.
Awesome. And now you've been around not a long time, but for some time. So you do have some background in the music industry. How do you look? What's your viewpoint on the music industry nowadays?
I think it's very competitive. It's definitely a competitive field. I mean, we're in a time period just about anybody can record on multiple sources and upload it to streaming services. Anybody, you can record videos off of an iPhone. So it's definitely competitive. And another thing about it is just that, I feel like with more ways of reaching people and getting to people, I think that there's room for everybody that really wants to be there. You know what I mean? There's a niche for everybody. There's a segment of society that wants to hear whatever, no matter how wild your statement is, or no matter how wild your platform could be, there's somebody that wants to hear that.
Yeah.
And there's a place now for them to hear that. And there's no longer like record label gatekeepers that kind of will shut down certain things. I guess if it's not, if it's not somebody that they think the general public wants to hear. So there's the opportunity for every kind of voice to be heard and be displayed now.
Yes, and in terms of advice in the music industry, what do you feel has been the best advice you've received so far?
Don't give up. As long as you keep going, there's a chance for you to succeed. And as time goes by, the technology is making it more and more easier to succeed. So if somebody would have given people that may have given up 10 years ago, if they would have held on to a little bit longer, technology was on the way to kind of possibly give them the thrust that they needed. And so also just build your fans. Just, worry about your fans of your music. Don't have to worry so much about everybody else's fans, or just build your fan one by one.
Okay, cool. And in terms of challenge, what has been the biggest challenge you run into so far?
Well, in the same sense that there's opportunity for everybody to display their voice and to share their platform. there's also that many people doing it. So it's definitely a very, very, very crowded field. So just being able to distinguish yourself from the rest of the pack, um, and just provide sort of call it your own personal unique selling point. That's always a challenge for an artist when the field is so crowded.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I like to ask our guests in the show is like, and people like to listen, is to what is the artist's creative process like? In your case, what is it that inspires you? How do you go about things? You come to the studio. What do you have set up? How do you go about creating, recording? What's your favorite tool? Can you explain to
Um, so because I have a dual role, um, first thing I'll do is I make a lot of beats.
me?
Um, and as I've made, lots of beats, and that's when you have my producer hat on. Then I kind of put on my artist hat and I listen to different beats that I've made and see which ones I want to write on, see which ones inspire me. And so from those, I just listen to a beat and just kind of try it. And sometimes it's not always like that. Sometimes while I'm making the beat, the song idea comes to me then. But a lot of times I just try to listen to what the beat is telling me, and whatever the beat is telling me, whatever it wants to say, whatever the music wants to say, I just try to put in the words what the beat is saying already. And I almost always come up with a hook before I even write verses because I just want to get the general. I just want to get to me, the hook is just like such an extension of the beat. So it's like the beat is saying one thing, so I need to put that in the words, and now that's the hook. And then once I have that foundation, then I just write.
Yeah, and I like favorite music tool do you use? Like, what's your favorite? Let's say DAW.
I work out of Reason.
Okay.
Yeah, work out of Reason. There's a lot of programs out there, but I've been working it so long that I've just kind of gotten used to it. I've been telling myself I want to probably try Ableton next, but I don't know, because I do two things, because I write and produce and run businesses. I guess it's easy to just stick with a program that I know
Mhm.
and just kind of spending that kind of time learning new programs all the time.
Okay. In terms of like your favorite album of all times, what would that be? I know it's not an easy question.
Wow, that's a haymaker. That's a big question. Favorite album of all time? Really, really tough. Ah man, I'm conflict. Illmatic was so. There's so many that I just like. It's really hard to name one, but Nas Illmatic is
Mhm.
definitely up there. Nas, it was written. Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, Prince's Purple Rain. Like this is a lot of great albums. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
sure.
That's a very
So
hard
it's
question.
a hard question. Nobody can answer it with just one answer, but pretty good choice there. I love that too. Now, if you're starting in the music industry today, having your experience and skills, what would you do differently?
um, I would just go all in on. I would just make my total. I think a lot of people's total focus is just social media. You know what I mean? And that's kind of beyond the. Who's winning in music business right now is who's winning on social media.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's just kind of like running a presidential campaign. If whoever's getting in front of the most cameras, making the most campaign stops, you know what I mean? Those are the people going to be the people that can kind of build their audience and drive up their voter base. Um, and so that's kind of the same thing with the music business, just getting out there on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok, YouTube, all these platforms. Those are the people that see. That's the process.
Okay, cool. In terms of like, what is for you to be successful? Like, what is music success for you, to have music success in your life?
I like that question. I think music success just comes from being able to live my life based off of doing what I love. Anytime, and a lot of times people look at, you know, the most grand examples of music success, you know what I mean, as the only form of success. And and it's definitely great. But anytime you can be, anytime you can live off of what you do, you know what I mean, and you have fans that support you or people that support you, then in my mind, you're already successful to a certain degree because there's so many people that are trying to get in the game, so many people that are trying to do it. So to have, um, you know, that level of support, so that that's all you can rely on, then you're successful to me.
Awesome, man. Jerrel XL, what do you feel like in terms of artistic journey? What do you feel is your place in the culture today? Where do you feel you are different from what's out there right now?
I feel like I'm here to be a light. I feel like I'm here to be a light. I'm here to motivate. I'm here to inspire. I'm here to show originality. I'm here to be, a unique voice and a leader. I find that my place is to be a leader, and that's kind of the direction I'm going to go in throughout my career, just as a leader of the culture.
Great, man. Well, it was a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for your time and for all the value that you brought to the show. What's the best way people can actually connect with you?
On Instagram, Jerrel XL, JERRELXL. On TikTok, Jerrel XL, and on YouTube, Jerrel XL. You can follow me on all three platforms.
Very, very cool. Now, to all the guests and listeners, I would like to remind you that all the resources and everything else we've been sharing about in today's episode, you can find on musicsuccess.com by entering the guest's name in the search bar. And this episode, along with all the show notes, will pop right up. Jerrel XL, thank you once again. I wish you all the success. I hope that everything goes well with your brand, a new album coming out this year. And let us know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And I wish you tons of success. And I'd like to remind everybody home that one of the reasons why we do the show is because we want you to be successful, because your success is our success. And don't forget to live your dreams. Until the next episode, just stay safe and be cool. Okay? Take care.